Hey guys, I'm Davin. Today I'm back with more Total War Warhammer 2 online action. We're here with Arkhan the Black and the followers of Nagash, going to be fighting up against the forces of Chaos. So let's go ahead and take a look at this Tomb King's build here. I've got Arkhan the Black, of course, on foot. No need for a mount this time. We've got Tomb Blade of Arkhan for that AoE healing, which is going to be very important, as well as a Staff of Nagash. That minus 30 ability recharge is also very important, as it does work on all of his abilities, including the Tomb Blade itself, so you can get that AoE healing more often. We've also got the Liber Mortis for physical resistance, Fate of Buna, and Spirit Leech just for that direct magic damage. And of course his other abilities. We've also got two Necrotechs here. Both have Restore. One has a Stone Shaper for that extra armor and missile resistance in case of armor-piercing missiles. And you can see we've gone with a bit of a Monster Mash build this time, so typically you don't like to play builds like this, but I just wanted to show this build in particular to you guys to have a little bit of a discussion and see what you think. So, we've got a Hero Titan, a Necro Sphinx, and a Kemrian War Sphinx. Of course, the Hero Titan has some neat utility abilities. He's got extra power reserves and recharge rate. He's also got Spirit Leech, 1 charge, and 2 charges of Shem's Burning Gaze. And so the idea is we stand these 3 constructs on top of Arkhan. We get that Liber Mortis effect and the healing from the Tomb Blade. And, you know, use the Necrotech's buff and the missile resistance is an arbor buff, and the healing, rather. And just continuously monster mash everything with this squad here. Just stand them all on top of each other. To get the Realm of Souls, we've got a nice cheap front line of Skeleton Spears, 5 Skeleton Spears, and I had some extra funds, so I got the Chosen of the Gods, Great Bow Ushabti here. So yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at my opponent's build. He's got a Chaos Lord up on a dragon, pretty decent. He's got fire and armor piercing, so he's going to be good against Tomb King's Lords. He's got 3 Chaos Marauders with great weapons, 2 Sword and Board Chaos Marauders, single Chaos Warrior, chosen with great weapons, 2 Chaos Warriors with halberds, Aspiring Champion, and a Death Sorcerer. So let's go ahead and kick into full gear, and we'll watch as the battle unfolds. So of course I'm going to be just doing a little bit of early skirmishing here, and yeah, these Chosen of the Gods are going to be hopefully pulling up in range here. We'll actually fast forward through this early game a little bit here as the army's kind of jockey for position. But yeah, you guys have heard me talk about monster mashing before, and the Tomb Kings are one of the best factions at it, particularly with this build. I've fought up against a similar build myself. Even as the Dark Elves, I had 4 units of Dark Riders with repeater crossbows unloading continuously, and we were able to take down 2 of the constructs and eventually all 3 of the constructs. But by that point, I just didn't have the stopping power to take down 3, decently armored heroes. I mean, Arkhan himself has 90 armor, pretty solid combat stats, 40 attack, 50 defense. Necrotechs don't have amazing stats. They're pretty decent, especially when they're being buffed by the My Will Be Done here. But they do have anti-infantry and 50 armor, something to be aware of. But yeah, you can see we're getting an engagement underway. Chosen of the Gods opening up with their scatter shots. I've seen a little bit of confusion. The Chosen of the Gods are actually the only bow shabti who have the scatter shot. All the other bow shabti just do solid shot, but they are going to be unloading into the flanks a little bit here, doing some nice damage early on. And yeah, you can see the fire breath coming down, roasting some skeletons, but honestly, that's fine with me. These guys are dirt cheap. They're just here to be a meat shield anyway. So early Marauder charge coming in, a little bit piecemeal here in front of the rest of the force. So I was thinking maybe this dragon was going to come down right here and try and get on these bow shabti, but instead we're just going to go ahead and alpha strike in with these monsters, and these Marauders are immediately going to get monster mashed here. Arkhan and his Necrotech buddies also going to be helping out here. And you can see how quickly this Marauder unit just gets completely crumbled. Obviously, they're susceptible to terror. And well, the one issue my opponent has is he's brought a pretty heavy Marauder build, which the Marauders aren't really going to have the leadership to stand up to this kind of terrible monster mashing here. So, for you guys are going to be seeing a lot of this in this battle. Just the Necrotech, or sorry, the Necro Sphinx, the Hero Titan, and the War Sphinx just carving up hordes upon hordes of Chaos Infantry here. My opponent also has a Gore Beast Chariot over here that I failed to mention. A solid pick against the Tomb Kings. It's a little bit of a niche, I think, because it does have armor piercing, can kind of block up constructs, so I'm interested to see how it does here. Really nice rear charge there. My opponent does bring the dragon down to try and get on this Chosen of the Gods. We're dropping a Spirit Leech on him, of course. He's going to do quite a bit of damage to those bow shabti, but he sees the angry kaiju coming, and the Hero Titan might get 1 attack on him. Looks like not quite. Maybe the shabti are in the way. But yeah, he is going to be able to get back up in the air before we can get too many attack animations on him. So we're just going to send the big monsters back into the center engagement here. You can see a lot of the Chaos Warriors and Chosen moving into attack range now. So obviously, they're going to cut through the skeletons very easily. They're going to have a hard time, though. Even the halberds here, if all three of these constructs are standing on top of them at the same time, they're going to have a really hard time, dealing with this kind of monster mashing here. So can see the Hero Titan and the Necrosphinx coming back to the battle. Some laser eye beam action roasting some of these Chaos Marauders. Dropping that Leaper Mortis as well to give that physical resistance. Since we're fighting against a lot of anti-large armor-piercing troops, we're also dropping a Fate of Yuna on these Chaos Warriors with halberds. Probably would have been better used on the Chosen with great weapons who are hanging around here somewhere. But I didn't actually see them because their banner was in the middle of all these being monster mashed, so again, and a lot of these forces of chaos are not immune to psychology, so they are going to be susceptible to terror, and just taking this much shock damage all at the same time from multiple directions, it counts as being attacked in the rear oftentimes, and it's just bad for morale. A lot of these guys are going to get terrified away, as you can see. The Chaos Lord has just been taking continuous Spirit Leeches. I believe we dropped another from Arkhan, and we're going to be dropping the one from the Hero Titan very shortly as well. So just kind of a grind out fight at this point. The skeletons are dying as they should to give us that Realm of Souls proc. You can see the absolute monster mashing. The Necrotex and Arkhan also fighting in the pits here a little bit. And man, absolutely beautiful. A little bit degenerate. I do feel kind of bad for my opponent for using a build like this, but honestly, it's a little bit of a discussion I've been wanting to have, and this, the Tomb Kings are probably the best at monster mashing. Also, the Lizardmen are very good at it. Chaos can somewhat. Same with the Vampires, they can somewhat. But the Tomb Kings are definitely the best at it. And I think that you could do a couple of things to limit that in particular. So we'll go ahead and kind of talk through those at the end of the game here. But, oh man, that laser beam animation is super cool. Looks like Soul Blight in here, so trying to debuff the armor of the constructs a little bit here so his forces are able to do some more damage. He's been able to do some damage to the heroes, but the constructs have taken very, very little damage at this point. We do have the Summon Dushabti now blocking up the Gorby's chariots here and just dealing a ton of damage to the infantry that are standing in his pocket. Looking very, very cool. I love the Ushabti's animations. And of course the Necrosphinx and the Camarine War Sphinx over here just completely smashing through the Marauders and the Chosen and the Halberds that are here. Yeah, there's really not much hope my opponent has at this point. You can see the balance of power is pretty heavily in my favor, so we'll just kind of soak up some of this cinematic action. These Aspiring Champions looking very, very cool. Fortunately, they're not going to be able to do much up against these massive constructs, and maybe if these were Chosen with Halberds, they'd be a bit better in this situation, but as it is, the Chosen with great weapons, they'll do some damage here, but they're just going to get munched on by just overwhelming shock damage here. That's kind of the idea with having the three constructs just standing on top of each other, is that your opponent, whatever they have, just cannot stand up to what you can bring, just the amount of stopping power. Another Soul Blight being dropped from my opponent, but at this point, it's honestly not going to be enough to pull things back in his favor, obviously. I do think Chosen with Halberds are a must in this matchup. They would be able to help counter something like this. Of course, Marauders with Throwing Axes would also be very useful here, although they are somewhat vulnerable to Skeleton Archers. A lot of the builds I've been seeing with the Tomb Kings recently in tournaments and on ladder have just been very headstrong kind of construct rush type armies, so I honestly don't think you need to worry about Skeleton Archers or Skeleton Horse Archers too much. I mean, they are a bit of a risk, but thankfully Marauder Horsemen are much faster, so they can get out of dodge and stay out in front of the Horseman Archers if you're on top of your micro. And yeah, you can see the breath attacks, laser eyes, and the Necrotex whip also taking down these Chaos Warriors. Man, did he just decapitate that guy with a whip? That takes some serious skill. But yeah, well played to my opponent. Hope you guys enjoyed watching this battle. Let me know your thoughts down below. Have you experienced this kind of monster mashing before? What are your thoughts on how to counter it? We can go ahead and talk through the Chaos matchup specifically a little bit here. You guys have seen me play that one a couple times before. But yeah, this build in particular, just the amount of healing you can put out between the two Necrotex and Arkhan's Tomb Blade, which I honestly think needs a little bit of a nerf. I know you do have to be in melee to recharge it, but if you have Arkhan on foot in melee like that, he's going to be able to recharge it relatively easily. And Lords on foot are harder to goon just because they're a smaller target. They get knocked around a lot, so It's really hard to kill Arkhan when he's like this. You can see he got 42 kills by himself, 31 and 38 on the Necrotechs. That anti-infantry means they're pretty decent against low armor kind of fodder to your infantry like Marauders and so on. And yeah, just a ton of kills across the board on the constructs as you would expect. 133, 46, and 67 all across the board here, so very nice work done. For my opponent, 85 kills on the Chosen with Great Weapons, and they got away with most of their unit models. The Gorebeast Chariot ended up getting 47 kills, but didn't really pay itself off. Let's go ahead and talk about Chaos in a little bit more detail and how you could potentially counter something like that. Now, granted, I haven't run into this build myself as Chaos, but just the typical Chaos build I like to bring I think would be okay against that. You can bring the Chaos Lord if you want, or you can bring Arkhan himself. He's a little bit of a risk, but he's fast. He can get around. Let's go ahead and actually compare how fast he is compared to some of the Tomb King's constructs here. So if we look at, let's say, the Necro Sphinx, it's pretty comparable, 68 to 66 speed. So you are going to have to be on top of your micro, but you know, you can come in here and maybe cut some of these spells. Just bring a Burning Head, Flaming Sword of Ruin to help clear out chaff, Cascading Fire Cloak. You'll definitely want the Slayer of Kings and the Crown of Domination. Very important. Gives him immunity to psychology in an area of effect. It does make Arkhan pretty expensive to bring him like this, but then you can do something maybe like this. Bring a couple of Chosen with Halberds. You could even go pretty headstrong and bring something like this. Then you get maybe some Chaos Marauders with Throwing Axes. You maybe want a few Marauders just to help deal with skeletons and so on the flanks. Let's see, you could do a few various things at this point. Maybe fine-tune some costs here with Arkhan, like maybe we cut Foe Seeker, and Standard Eye is super useful, but you know, then we could potentially bring another Halberd. You know, we could maybe readjust a few costs here on some various things. Let's see, I mean, you could forego Burning Head. It is really nice for bringing down chaff, but that would just about get us in range of another Chaos Warrior with the Halberd here. Something like this, though, where you have the Chosen with Halberds, I think are the key to taking down the constructs. You have the armor-piercing missiles as well, the fire damage from Arkhan. With Slayer of Kings and with Cascading Fire Cloak and Flaming Sword, you can get him over 1,000 weapon strength. He'll hit very hard against Tomb King's Lord, so if he manages to get a hold of Arkhan, he'll definitely do a ton of damage to him. Of course, Shaggoths are a great tool in this matchup as well. You could potentially bring Dragon Ogres, you know, if you wanted to go with a little bit more of a mobile build. Chaos Knights with Lances can also be very, very useful here. But against this kind of monster mashing, even elite tier Halberds, you know, they can potentially suffer to that. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. If you like this kind of content, like and subscribe. I'm keeping it coming with more Total War Warhammer 2 content every single day, so stay tuned for more, and we'll see you next time.